Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here of course, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of NES Remix 2 from the Nintendo Wii U eShop download. So, last time we did manage to go back into the previous amount of stages, and as a result we got every single of those rainbow stars at the moment, all except for the forms of that last game category, in this case, but in front of something a little bit more secret until later on though. Because of this though, we did manage to able to gather every single rainbow stars in Super Mario Bros. Kirby's Adventure, Warriors Woods gives me a hard time on that part, and also Dr. Mario, Kid Icarus, and Punch-Out, and Remix 2, and even let's not forget to mention about, of course, the bonus stages. So today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be taking on into, I would say, but it forms the last part of this particular, well, the main game of NES Remix 2, aside from the other two extra modes I want to show off, until when it gets to the point until next Tuesday, to able to conclude NES Remix 2 Let's Play. So even then, let's get this thing to it with NES Open Tournament Golf. Sorry, it was a little bit of a tongue twisting in the end, folks, so I must admit that I do apologize for that. So, yeah, basically, how it works for this game, it plays exactly like how it did on most other golf games, although the only major difference between the normal golf compared to the forms of how it does it on this game here is the fact that obviously the major differences here is that these Mario characters all actually showed up. Like, for instance, Mario, Luigi, and let's not forget to mention Princess Peach, and especially noticeable with Princess Daisy of all things, because as far as I'm aware, I don't know if I may be wrong or not, but I believe this game did technically first came out during the likes of in 1987, I believe, but then during the likes of in the future points and onwards, like, if I have to, like, mention something, like, for instance, I think they did manage to release it on North America. Oh, actually, no way, that was on Famicom Disk System during the likes of in Japan, but then they got the NES version of the game during the likes of in 1991, and a year later in Europe, so classified that for the sake of time. So even then though, yeah, as far as for my first experience of NES Open Tournament Golf, is the fact that the first time I ever experienced this game was actually I did manage to download this on the Nintendo Wii's Virtual Console version back in the day, and I remember not liking it that much, if only because of how the fact that I'm more accustomed to the forms of the future Mario Golf games, most notably with Mario Golf on the N64, and especially noticeable with Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, and the most recent Mario Golf game, which is of course World Tour for the 3DS. I kinda wish there was actually a new Mario Golf game at some point on the Nintendo Switch, which I was hoping that would be the case, because we haven't got a new, like, literally a brand new Mario Golf game since, you know, World Tour on the 3DS. So it's been about, you know, 5 years since the actual World Tour game just managed to came out of. So, but yeah, you probably get the idea. And one of the major issues I have with the forms of NES Open Tournament Golf, although then again, the presentation is not so bad, but I will say this right now. Oh, we got ourselves the next badge. In fact, fundamentally though, I think this might actually be the last stamp that we can able to utilize with the actual B-point system, because as for everything else, as for certain unlockable requirements, because of this though, differently from the likes of the NES Remix 1, that you actually get every single badge. Oh no, not what am I talking about? I was thinking of something else. In order to actually get every single Miiverse stamps, is that depends on how much points you'll be gathering, either if you do this on the best run or anything like that, where basically in order to actually get them all, is the fact that you have to do, like, you have to max out your B points counts up to like 99,999 points. I mean, that's ridiculous if you ask me. But thankfully though, that's not the case on NES Remix 2 this time around though, because in order to actually get, well, let's just say 95 Miiverse stamps and all that stuff, in order to actually get to it though, is the fact that you need to reach up for about 80,000 points. So, I'm very glad that's been the case though, because if it goes like the exact same amount as the forms of how it does it on the first game, there'll be a lot more grinding to deal with. But thankfully though, the other 5, you know, the final 5 Miiverse stamps are in a little bit more of a different system this time around, because, well, we'll mention more now whenever we get to it for the sake of this video, and especially noticeable during the likes of in the grand finale of this game's Let's Play by going through the extra two modes, which there are both Super Luigi Brothers and especially noticeable on Championship mode, which I'll talk more on that specifically whenever we get to Tuesday. So even then though, if you couldn't tell already, today's day is the forms of, 26th of July today, so even then though, I haven't really gone that much of it though, honestly guys, apart from the fact that, well, we've recently got into the forms of, the actual process of the actual recording sessions between this game and especially noticeable with Super Mario Party, because between these two Let's Plays, and on one hand, those two Let's Plays, they are usually going to be almost finished, but specifically at the end of this month at the same time. So even then, well, not necessarily in the forms at the same time though, but more accurately on different days, because in different days, well, obviously me and Pinkie Pie are still about to be able to go back onto Super Mario Party, and most notably focusing on the weekends department, but as for everything else though, well, for Super Mario Galaxy 2, and especially noticeable for NES Remix 2 at the moment, well, as far as I said this before, about the fact that during next week, the actual recording processing department will go back into its normal state. Like, for instance, NES Remix 2 will be back on till, Tuesday able to conclude the actual Let's Play of the game. So even then, we're actually getting pretty close towards the end. And as for Monday and Wednesdays, however, though, it will be back to Super Mario Galaxy 2 again, because even then, just because of the fact that we just want to get these Let's Plays finished before, several other Let's Plays I was planning to do, for the sake of you guys, for entertaining or entertainment and all that stuff, but even then, I just want to classify that. So even then, though, wow, looks like we actually got so many of those rainbow stars so far anyway, though. Aside from a little bit of attentions right there. So I'm actually feeling quite impressed about this, actually. So here we go with stage 5, where basically we need to adjust the actual, the ball to the hole right here. Although, I will admit though right away, I found this is kind of strict in my eyes because, well, I swear I did manage to able to try to get the ball right into the hole, but the game tells me about the fact that, well, your ball just managed to able to get onto the edge of the hole and managed to do a small hop, and then guess what? They just really can't afford to let the ball get into the hole sometimes, which I will say it is a little bit better than the normal golf in my opinion, but just a little bit of a issue with this is that I have the similar issue I have with the forms of the normal NES golf game from NES Remix 1. I found the actual judging distance are still a major factor about this game, because I know for the fact that, well, it's pretty cool back in the day, but as for 2019, which the year we're in, I just found it to be a little bit hard to judge the distance sometimes, because especially noticeable where, and there's one of those emphases that how the fact that, well, I'm not exactly a huge master of golf, but I'm pretty good at it though, still. But, if only because of the future Mario Golf games, which is on the Nintendo 64, and especially noticeable on the GameCube, and even the ones on the 3DS. So, even then though, that Mario Golf game was completely ignored on the Nintendo Wii system though, and even with the Wii U system ironically, because, well, at first I thought they're going to be using the Wii U gamepad for some specific matter, but turns out it's completely ignored, because of the actual Wii U's selling points doesn't do that much. Well, at least in terms of it performs so poorly for that part, and also commercial failure as far as I most likely heard about it, but then again though, I'm just a little bit too vague when it comes to, describing certain stuff, so even then though, yeah, you probably get the idea. So as far as stages amounts with the forms of NES or NES Open Tournament Golf, I believe there are about 8 stages, just like the ones in Kid Icarus, and especially noticeable with, I would say Warriors Woods potentially, so even then though, that's the only thing I can describe it for it, so even then though, basically, it's very simple and self-explanatory if you manage to get your, things going, but the major difference is, I just assuming to realize, is the fact that you can able to actually change, the actual speed of your shots, so even then though, that, I don't think that in-game, the NES Golf, the normal Golf I should say, does have that feature, but then again, it's been such a long while since we actually did manage to play it. NES remakes on the, the Wii U eShop version, or else on the forms of how it does it on the 3DS version, which is Ultimate NES Remakes, which, kind of think about it, I think I should probably get back into that game, just for the sake of the forms of able to actually replay the game on the go and all that stuff. So even then, I just want to classify that. So, but there's one little thing I just want to point things out right away, is the fact that, when it comes to doing Ultimate NES remakes on the 3DS, as far as the actual Let's Plays is concerned, it will not happen because, well, I think Mario has established that before. That, it's just basically, it's like you have, 6 or in this case, well, 6 games from the original NES remakes and another 6 from NES remakes 2. So that's something I'm not going to be covering for the actual Let's Play department. But aside from that, well, at least I can able to discuss upon more details onto that, and during the likes of in the final video of this, for the sake of this Let's Play, which I'm also able to actually just to do that. But even then, from now on though, we'll just have to able to hit the ball and try to aim it from the green on one stroke. So, there we go, I think that pretty much checks out there. So, do we get ourselves a rainbow stars on that part? Because, after all, we are the fastest thing alive, of course, by going from menu to menu and all that stuff. But even then, though, it turns out it worked out pretty well. And, of course, we have ourselves stage number 7, where I feel like this event might actually drag on a bit, which is potentially speaking, we need to defeat Luigi. So, generally speaking, that the last time we were able to defeat Luigi was actually on the specific 2-player versus minigame on Super Mario Bros. 3, where whoever gets the most coins or one of the players dies or something by that fireball. So even then, I just want to point things out at this point. And speaking of Luigi, today is the marks of the, well, I would say, that new Super Luigi U, specifically the physical version of the game, at least specifically the UK version of that game, is now being released for about 6 years now. I mean, Jesus Christ, 6 years since the physical version of New Super Luigi U came out. Even then, I still managed to get the downloadable version of that specific DLC. I've heard that the physical version is actually pretty hard to find right now, unless if you ever find this a little bit of a cheap price on the used copy of the game. Well, at least as far as I can tell for that part, but it might be seems redundancy for this point now, because now that the Nintendo Switch version managed to able to existence, then obviously they did manage to able to port it over to Nintendo Switch, that way you can play New Super Mario Bros. U on the go. So even then though, it might be seems, yeah. Okay, if you couldn't tell from this point right there, for that massive jump cut right there, holy crap, it took me 15 attempts to able to success for this. And again, I said this before, I'm not exactly pure expert at this game every now and then, especially noticeable. I remember back in the day, not liking it that much, at least compared to the forms of how it does in the future Mario Golf games, because it managed to able to make everything 3-dimensional and all that stuff, which I will say, 3-dimensional Mario Golf games is actually way more better in scales, in my opinion. While I did manage to still enjoy the Game Boy Advance entry, which is of course Mario Golf Advance Tour, which I still managed to have. But however though, I don't seem to able to get back into it these days, because, well, I just don't seem to able to think that I didn't have well, there was actually 4 unlockable characters on that specific game, which there are, well, Luigi, Wario, and I believe Waluigi as well, and there's also Bowser into the mix. So even then though, that I haven't exactly unlocked the other 4 yet, which I probably need to get back into at some point. But even then though, that's as far as I can usually get minor routine and all that stuff. So even then though, you probably get the idea for that. So if only if I'm able to actually get ourselves the advanced cable link or something, which even then, if that's to be the case, then it might actually get some attention. Alright, so it looks like I get a feeling that Luigi might get his ball in first, but since we actually, after all, we're actually getting to... Oh, really? Ah, that's what really ticks me off most of the time. Thank you. Whew, that took a lot of effort, even on off-screen. That just makes me feel like, I don't know, just some sort of like, you know, just... It takes a bit of practice at one point, but then again, hard to judge distance sometimes, but at least we did manage to pass that, so even then though, and that pretty much takes care of this this particular mission, and we got ourselves the last stage in NES, or NES Open Tournament Golf, sorry. And here, we need to get a hole-in-one. Oh god, I remember this. It's basically, it's kind of like the, one of those challenges in, you know, the golf game on NES Remix 1, but now it makes it a little bit harder now just because of, well, hard to judge distances sometimes. Which, believe me, is not as easy as it sounds. Well, unless if you're trying to be accurate with the actual angle of the shots, if you couldn't tell, especially with the winners involved. But apart from that, though, it might be seems robust. So, yeah, but apart from that, though, you still got, like, 6 hearts of your, life system as a result, though, which is pretty good, if you ask me, but then again, if you manage to able to try to get, you know, 3 stars on that specific run, well, basically, you have to able to actually do it within a very, very, very well shot, so that could be pretty tricky in some respects, so even then, though, let's see how well does this go. A bit too far from the left. Alright, so let's go and try this again, and hopefully we can able to get this in the right shot. So even then, that this will work? I don't know, but even then, we'll find things out until then. And it looks like... Oh! Come on, get in there! Yes! So here we go, so that was a hole-in-one. So naturally speaking, I apologize with another jump cut, because again, I just found that game to be kind of, well, meh to me. Well... cool back in the day, but in the end, I just kind of prefer the 3D Mario Golf ones because, well, I just don't see the point about it. But anyways, though, so once we've completely done with all these objectives in any single NES games, that if you do realize, the bonus stages on that specific catalog is not exactly over yet, because you see, we're actually going on to level 21, or stage 21, because in this one, it takes place in Super Mario Bros. 3, of course, but the catch is the fact that we need to collect 100 coins and reach the goal when you collect all 100 coins, so... yeah, which meaning about the fact that, well, I think the actual layout's managed to able to feels like almost identical to the likes of how it does it from, you know, from the original counterparts, but I do realize there are some slight differences, I realize. Like, for instance, they now managed to add in a thank you message, which could be the only being one thing, and I was off by 34 coins, but that's okay though, because at least even then, those stages aren't too bad, or even especially noticeable, it's not too hard either, so it's just that I was a little bit too hasty at points, and as a result though, I just keep on speeding things up way too often, so let's try this again, and hopefully we can able to succeed by this point. So even then though, yeah, as it said here, thank you, meaning about the fact that, well, you've actually beaten the game, well, at least for some aspects I mind, but even then though, that it wasn't until whenever we get to some future parts, especially noticeable that there was actually, I would say, we actually come across into the final 2 challenges as far as I'm aware, because I say 2 is because, well, as soon as we're able to complete this challenge, alongside with able to getting 3 stars, but not just 3 stars, but a Rainbow Star ranking as well. And because of this though, as soon as we're able to finish that particular challenge, we get ourselves, not only for the sake of this reward, but it's also, you get yourselves the next bonus stage. In this case, I would say this is the final bonus stage in the entire game, and also the final stage in the entire games. And in this case, we also got ourselves our special stamp, which even then seems pretty cool though. But then again, we'll figure these out during when this Let's Play has been finished. And the final bonus stage, and even the final stage in the entire NES Remix 2, it's just basically we are watching any single endings for specifically Mario games. Because I say that because, well, we've already technically seen the ending to the Lost Levels from one of the challenges, and especially noticeable with, I think that's about it, basically. Well, apart from Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link, and especially noticeable with Punch-Out, and I think that's as far as I can usually say about this. So, as for the actual stage itself, we can just do nothing, apart from watching the endings, of course. I think these endings can be summarized, as you can see on screen. We're actually going to be watching the ending to Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA, and especially noticeable with Dr. Mario, and finally Super Mario Bros. 3. So even then, this makes it a little bit obvious for that specific choices for that regard. But if you do manage to watch all the endings though, even if you do watch one of the endings, well, you can able to, for some reason, progress. So, yeah, it seems pretty weird though to able to end this off, but at least that's something. But at least there's no timer or anything like that, and there's no hard lives to begin with, but at least that's pretty confident, I suppose. So yeah, I think this is what the real endings looks like for Dr. Mario, where if you manage to completely done with level 20 in Virus level, then that's how the ending looks like apparently, which basically the actual viruses are actually on top of the tree, of all things, and as a result though, during the likes of it nighttime, oh, what do we have here? Well, it seems it's gone a little bit more black around here. Oh, what was that coming from the sky? is of course the actual UFO, or in this case for specifically the actual virus UFO. So that's pretty unique ending as far as I can usually say about this for this matter, or in this case the very interesting ending as far as as a result for the Dr. Mario game like that. But even then though, I don't suppose that the ending on the NES game does have a story to it. Whilst I remember in the forms of whenever I've seen the gameplay footage of Dr. Mario 64, at least it does have some story elements to it. But even then, that's just yeah. And finally, we have Super Mario Bros. 3, where basically in this ending montage, it just shows you what worlds you've been to, like Grassland, Desert Land, Waterland, Giant Land, or Big Land. I don't know what you would pronounce that. Skyland, and Iceland, and especially noticeable with Pineland, and of course Darkland, or for that matter, Valley of Bowser on specifically the Super Nintendo version or the Super Mario All-Stars counterpart, and especially noticeable with the Game Boy Advance, remake and all that stuff. So even then though, as far as getting the actual reward of this though, it might be pretty cool though if we managed to able to actually just watch the entire endings though. I think it might actually took us about 3 minutes as far as the actual ending sequence concerned. So even then, I have no idea why they managed to able to get the majority of, in Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA's ending that we've recently watched, I realized is the fact that the actual Princess Peach, or Princess Toadstool to be more precise, does manage to able to have a lot of numbers. I'm guessing most of the developers might actually have an easier time with her. Well, at least as far as that seems a little bit more redundant to me though anyway, because she picks up way more slower than Toad, or Mario, or Luigi. So, and if you ever think about it, we got ourselves the final 3 stars, and especially noticeable with the final rainbow stars as a result. And by doing so, you get yourselves a Palutena stamp, and especially noticeable for NES Remix 2 complete. And check out this funky music. Damn, that looks awesome. Especially how rewarding that's supposed to be like. And even once again, you get yourselves the rainbow outlines on that specific ribbon part, just like the ones and how it does it on NES Remix 1. So even then, that's not much else to really said and things and done. So even then, we've almost pretty much got all the stamps in the game, although there was final 2 missing stamps we'd like to able to point things out. But that again, we'll mention more on that until whenever we get to that specific final video until next Tuesday. So even then though, join me next time on Let's Play NES Remix 2 is the fact that we're about to be taking on the final video of NES Remix 2, and that was the fact that we can show off Super Luigi Brothers, and especially noticeable with the championship mode. So see you guys next time. Later fellas.